Welcome back, blade lovers. This old sword here, I have a new installment of a series I'm calling Knives That Talk to Me, subtitled, and What Are They Saying? So we had the first round of 5, and I've got another round of 5 today. These are knives that have impressed me in one way or the other. They're probably the knives I would get rid of, sell off, relinquish last out of the large collection that I feel I have. And we're going to get right to it. I'm in kind of close to give you maybe just a hint of what we're going to show today. So as I back out, you can see what we've got here. You may not recognize them yet, but I'm going to start with the ZT0452CF, a classic knife and designed by Sinkovich for ZT, zero tolerance. It is a half carbon fiber, half titanium handle frame. This one I think I swapped the clip out on and got a little bit longer aftermarket titanium clip. It came with kind of a short non-titanium clip as far as I recall. It was a while ago, so can't really remember that. Beautiful jimping, long slender blade with a swedge on top. Very piercy, still with a good working edge. S35 VN for the steel, and ergos are very nice, very neutral. Got a little bit of, you got some interesting finger grooves there, one in the front, one in the back, and kind of a swell, palm swell in the middle. However you characterize it, it fits very well. You can go point down. Let's see if we can back out even a little bit more. Yep. A nice satin belt finish on it, a little on the coarser side, but that's fine. Good thickness to the steel, probably 3.5 millimeters or better. Nice frame lock, nice action, not exactly drop shutty, but very smooth. I believe it's on bearings, but I have not disassembled this guy. What do we got here? We've got Sinkovich design, we've got a serial number, and relatively small branding, which is a good thing. Have the star pivot that many of the ZT knives are known for. Got a lanyard hole, and it is a lightweight for a large knife. I do have individual reviews on each of the knives on the table today, so just look them up if you need to learn more. But that is one of the 5 favorites for today, the 0452CF. Okay, moving on. Let's just grab the next one in line. This is the Scoppio by We Knives. It is, I believe, a Tony Tietzel design, what he calls TNT. You can look him up on Instagram. Some very interesting stuff that he designs. This is certainly no different. Look at the unusual, multifaceted, complex grind, compound grind, whatever you'd like to call it, on that blade. It doesn't really aid in cutting, and the bevel for the sharpened edge is the same all the way through. Don't have a very deep sharpening choil there, and one could argue that you sharpen it enough times, you may be coming up into different areas of the blade in a regular manner. But I'll tell you, boy, the edge that is on this blade is amazing. This one is in 20 CV, I believe. Boy, one thing about if you don't like branding, I'm going to have to pull this up close. Yeah, it's 20 CV. You can barely see that. So if you don't like branding, there's none there. Just the maker's mark, that stick of dynamite there, TNT. A beautiful stone-washed bronze anode titanium handle that's completely closed in the back, two handle halves meeting, a hidden pin for a lanyard there. Relatively, well, I wouldn't call it deep carry, but a nice titanium clip. And it does go in and out of the pocket smoothly. It's a great length. It's about 3.6 inches or so. Very neutral ergos. And the action is this really hollow clack. See if I can hear that. Beautiful action on it. Can be failed, which is interesting, but with a single stroke opens quite easily. There's the three grooves that's very characteristic of many WE knives in terms of how the relief is cut in for the frame lock, hardened steel insert, etc. 20 CV, as I said. Interesting handle shape. Not sure if they're still making this. I'm going to attempt to put links to all these knives on this review. So if you're interested, you can look them up. Internal stop pins on this guy, by the way. You can see them moving there. So lots of nice features. Upper end knife, upper end production knife in the mid 200s or better, if they're still being made. And same thing, I think the 0452 is coming in around 200 roughly, but again, if I can find them, I'll link them for you. All right, here's a very unusual knife by BRS Blade Runners. This is the Kopesh. This is one of three styles of the Kopesh with kind of a Persian style. Kopesh is a name of a sword, by the way. Middle Eastern variety. And this is one of three designs. I think one has a thumb hole, one has a flipper tab, and one has this very interesting takeoff on a thumb stud, which isn't really a single thumb stud. Has this chevron type design which picks up your thumb very easily and is extremely smooth and drop shutting. We have actually G10, not carbon fiber, but G10 mated beautifully to the titanium bolster on both sides. You have a very interesting titanium clip that is transferable to the left side. Very unusual for titanium clips. But lefties, yes, you can carry this knife. Liners on the thin side, but not incredibly so. I mean, it isn't as though it's going to buckle under pressure. We got some nice jimping at both the bottom and the top of the blade. So this blade comes back here onto the handle, and you got pretty good grip on both, which is a good thing because this is relatively smooth, if not slightly polished. Have some real interesting barrel spacers there, kind of a gear looking design. Wide open construction otherwise, and not weight relieved near as I can tell. It is, I would say, a medium weight knife, most of the weight coming from the blade that's about 4 millimeters. Nice upturn, kind of a Persian influence there with a clip to it, stone washed. And oh, what's the steel on this guy? I think it's M390. No branding on this knife at all, and I even looked on the inside and couldn't find any. But it is an M390 blade. That is what they advertise anyway. Interesting when the steel is not stamped on there. Yes, somebody could get this knife later on in its life and say, how do I know it's M390? Guess you'd have to just go back to the company and trust them. But yeah, one day I'm going to take this apart and see if maybe that information is hidden somewhere on the inside. But that's the Kopesh by BRS Blade Runners, a very interesting company. It makes a lot of Valley songs, by the way. Okay. Well, let's move on to one I got recently. One that's caused a bit of a stir, but also has seen a lot of love from people that actually bought one and have tried it. This is the Microtech Socom Bravo in the what they call the single edge, meaning non-tanto. I call it a clip point or drop point. Just a beautiful job by Reich Knives for Microtech. Takeoff on not actually their regular Socom design, but the Bravo was originally a Marfione custom design. So this is more emulating the Marfione custom than it is the actual Socom Bravo. All titanium on the frame and the backspacer, beautiful work. I did a review on this, you can check it out. Blue pivots around, just a thin line there. Deep, I guess call it a channel style fuller there. And not enough exposed to really use it to open with, but you've got a runway there towards the thumb stud. Opens very easily and lots of thickness. I think it's about a 5mm blade stock. And as they break in, they're just incredibly drop shut. Solid as all hell. And they did a torture test on this. If you check out the Microtech channel on YouTube, you will see that torture test. They beat the crap out of this knife, and it does really hold up. There's your clip. Not transferable, far as I know, because it's not riding on the surface. I believe it's inlet into that right side handle. Really a masterpiece of execution and design. That's all I can say. And for those that like the American-made Microtechs, there's still plenty of those. They're still being made down in, I think, North or South Carolina. So there you go. That's one of my favorites, and sneak peek, so to speak. I've got the Tanto coming in that was hand serrated by Tony Marfione himself with a signed box. Okay, last and certainly not least is a recent acquisition. This is an incredible knife. It's a large knife with about a 4.5-inch tall long blade that is tall. This is the Big Drago Tech by Bastinelli Knives. This is the second iteration of it. Comes in M390. All that information is there on the backspacer on the inside. It is made by Lion Steel, I believe. Let's check that out. Yep, Lion Steel M390. The original was D2, and my good friend Bob DeMarco loaned me his back before I had this, so I had a chance to play around with it. They changed the texture on the G10 a little bit. I believe they added the glass breaker with a carbide center, big lanyard hole, and ergos for a large knife. They're just, it melts right into your hand. That large palm swell, there's a half dozen ways you can hold this knife. You can get way back here and you've got finger groove and a thumb groove. You can choke up and you still got a thumb groove. You can choke up further and you're there, locked right in. And action on it is guillotine. I'm calling it guillotine. Some of these guys out there are going to come back to me and say, you know, that their semi-custom knife is drop shut. But look at that action. I think, you know, you can't deny that that is a smooth and on-bearing action. Look at that. The Big Drago by Bastinelli. Fantastic knife. If you want a war sword in your pocket, that's the one. Let's bring them all out again. There's the Kopesh by Blade Runners. Here is the ZT-0452 by Zero Tolerance. Here is the Socom Bravo by Microtech. And here is the, what is it? There is the Scoppio. It's a tough one to remember. The Scoppio, Scoppio, by Knives, designed by TNT Knives. There they are. That's round 2 of Knives That Talk to Me. And what are they saying? Be well. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. We'll be back with you soon with some cool new stuff. Take care.